Welcome to week 56 of the Roundtable. I'm your host, Tom Kuhn. Our theme for these roundtables and much of what we do in life is we recognize that money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale. So at Qnity, what we're here to do is help you earn more money, have great quality of life, and do what you love. So from Qnity, here we are to help make things what is normally complicated, confusing, overwhelming into something simple for a clear path, leaning very heavily on making things simple, visual, and actionable. Last week's guest was Lena Heath from Evelyn Charles in Canada. If you were not part of this session last week, a couple opportunities. Number one, she's going to be my guest on the school roundtable, which happens in 2 hours. Otherwise, if you're not able to join us for the school roundtable, you should definitely listen to this recording. It was a great session about going to hell and back, and there's a lot of lessons for all of us. This week, we get to have Dani Everson join us from Clementines in Denver, Colorado. She's also a 2 to 10 member, and some of the things that we're going to talk about is growth. She's got some really great updates on growth. And in fact, as we think about this session, it's been a while since we've done a session on growth. So in talking to Dani, we decided we're going to focus on that. We're also going to talk a little bit about September as the real new year. That's more of a topic that I'm going to cover, but Dani certainly was an inspiration for that. Also heads up in some future roundtables, we're going to hit on some perception related issues as it relates to pro beauty. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but there's just, it's really hitting me over the head. I had like 3 conversations just yesterday that said, hey, we have to seize the day as it deals with filling the gap between myths and traps on a lot of communication inside and outside the industry. Also, Qnity in action. It's a great time to work with a coach. Aaron is going to speak about this in a little bit. We've also got a trainer certification coming up September 19th and 21st as a live event. I think we're not quite full yet, but we have a very good group. So definitely this only happens twice a year. This is if you wanted to bring the Qnity curriculum in-house into your business. Also 2 to 10. 2 to 10 is we've got some final invites outstanding. We'll know if we have more space. If you have an invite that you haven't made a decision on, we gave you a deadline, and we're super excited. 2 to 10 is a go, live event. We're going to have a great turnout. We're going to be safe, and it's going to be amazing. So a lot of time is really planning to make sure that that event goes extremely well, and as it will. Past recordings of what we do in these roundtables is in the Plan for Profits portal. If you're part of that curriculum, it's also on YouTube. And then reminder, today at noon Central Time, we'll also do a school roundtable. The 9 grid is a tool that we furnish in these roundtables, so you can grab your light bulb moments and keep track of your insights. And certainly Dani has a bunch of them today, and I hope you'll pick up some things from our conversation. So find your light bulb moment. Dani will be inducted into the Brain Trust. This is just a sample of the many, many contributors. Thank you for being part of the Brain Trust, all of you that are on here that have participated in the past, and for those of you that we will draft into the future. If you want to be a member of the Brain Trust, we won't drain you, I promise you. If you want to be part of the Brain Trust, just let me know, and we can have a conversation. All right, Dani, let's you and I start a conversation. How are you today, Dani?
Hey, how are you?
And we find you in Denver, Colorado.
Yep.
And kids went back to school on Monday, is that right?
Heck yeah.
Did you say heck yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we're actually going to get to that a little bit more later. But Dani, why don't you just describe in your own words a little bit about who you are in your business, and then we'll launch in, okay?
Yeah, so I've been in business with Clementines Salon in Denver for a little over 10 years now. I've been doing hair since right out of high school, so 19 years. I'm still behind the chair 2 days a week, hopefully just going down to 1. We are about to open our 3rd location. We bought an old church, and outside of Denver, and we're going to convert it into upstairs. It's going to be 12 stations for hair. Downstairs, we're going to have 2 esthetician rooms, and then a separate area will have a bar and skincare.
Nice, nice. And your husband is in the business with you as a partner?
Yep. Yes, he is.
All right. We'll say hi to John, and we will see both of you at 2 to 10, which we're excited about. So you and I were having a chat, and we talked about a lot of different things, but a few things really jumped out at me. And one of the things that jumped out at me is you were sharing some of your performance and some growth in your business. And it was a little bit of a wake-up call for me and Michelle and Aaron. We were talking about it, says we haven't really done an episode on growth for a while. And growth is something at least we preach and teach and subscribe to, is you always have to be focused on growth, always. And so I guess we have to practice what we preach in these roundtables. So anyway, you had some really great results in a specific part of your business. So let's go there, okay?
Sure. Yeah, we are known for doing hair because that's how we started out. But we, at our second location, started our spa services. And that has always been secondary. Everyone knows that we do hair, but not everyone knows that we do facials and waxing, microblading. And so pre-pandemic, we only hired estheticians, and they were maybe 30 hours a week, and we'd wait till they get more booked, then we would add more hours. And post-pandemic, I just decided, I mean, there's a reason why people don't know us for skincare, is because we don't put ourselves out there enough. So we had to look at our list of menu items and really consolidate which ones made sense to stay on the menu, as opposed to just having too much offerings. I think that sometimes people get confused with what we do. And then we hired 4 extra estheticians. So coming back from the pandemic, we had 7 estheticians. So at any point in time, if someone getting their hair done wanted a brow wax, we had the people that could do so.
So I heard a couple of things here. I heard you did some strategic pruning of services.
Yes.
So you went through your service menu, and I'm just wondering in the chat, when was the last time you guys did that? So chat, let's get some feedback here. When was the last time you looked at your services and did some strategic pruning? And if anybody has any examples or whatever, throw it in the chat, because I think it's really smart. So we talked about that. And then we also, there's also a recruitment element. Let's talk about the series, okay?
Yeah, the memberships that
the memberships, yes, sorry, yep.
So we looked at our menu and realized like 30 and 60-minute facials were super vague, and people probably weren't booking those. And so we got very specific about, we offer oxygen facials and hydrofacials, dermaplaning. So we got just way more specific with our items on the menu and took off the ones that were just kind of vague. And then we decided that we really needed to do better with getting people to be consistent, because it's not like a haircut where you see it growing out in 6 to 8 weeks. It is with your skin, and you have to be on a ritual to see the results, almost like going to the gym. So we brought in memberships. I think the first month we sold 36, and it's gone up since then. And it is a matter of, they have 4 weeks of whenever they sign up, they have to use a service. We offer 3 services, ones that all the estheticians like performing and would like their books to be filled more with. And every 4 weeks, they either use or lose. If they don't use it, they have 60 days or they lose it. And so it just is really easy parameters. So our front desk feels really confident talking about it. And so, yeah, we grew on the hair side as well, but we really shot up with our spa side.
So thank you for your permission to share the numbers today and your willingness to share with your peers. And that should not be lost on our audience here. So let's look at the numbers, because sometimes it's good to look at the numbers. This is direct from an email from you. All right. So it looked to me that in a 12-month period, ending pandemic, even though you're shut down for basically 2 months, you did $234,000. And then what you've done since September of last year is you did 412. That's a 76% increase with 4% of the year shut down. Nice numbers.
Oh, thank you.
Now, you know what? We asked you the question also. I should keep going here, because we also talked about retail a little bit. So I said, all right, so what does it look like for retail? And I just threw these up on the screen, so you might have to help me a little bit in terms of what this was. Sorry, everybody, this is a lot of information, but this was
That's
this.
just page 1 of 6. So at the end of that, so we had, I think I had it written down. It was something like 53,000 for the prior year, and then after COVID, it was 84,000. So we did go up with retail as well.
And that is skincare retail, then,
Just
right?
yeah, all these numbers are just our skincare department.
Okay, great, great. Nice growth on a part of the business that I know in talking with many that really are more hair centric, that spa is maybe an Achilles heel for that. You can relate with that?
Yeah, I mean, being a hairstylist, I didn't realize how hard. I thought it was going to be very easy and just swoop in and do the same things that we always done, status quo. But skincare is very, very different than hair care as far as owning that portion of the business.
Now, so as we have our group today here, what other advice might you have for someone else that was in your position, that had a spa, didn't really feel like it was growing, want to mix things up a little bit? Any other, because you went through this whole process and you got great results. Any other tips?
I would say, we don't departmentalize what our estheticians do, but I did sit down with each and every one of them and ask them where they feel like they excel. And so there is somebody that only does microblading with doing that tattooing of the eyebrows. And she really wanted to be focused on that. That's what she wanted. If her entire days could consist of just that, she'd be happy. So we really promoted her on Instagram and did newsletters and let everyone know that Sebring does microblading. There's other estheticians that one wants to do more of the skin pen or micro needling, and she just loves it. And so we sat down with each and every one of them. Some of them wants to offer a plethora of all services, but we really allowed them to have a voice on what they wanted to focus on, so that we could promote them correctly. So that really did help us as well.
Now you've got a side gig going on, and this is not a typical side gig. It's a big project for you.
Yeah.
So you've created an app over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to speak to that, I definitely spent a 3-year project and it came to fruition right after COVID let up.
so tell us about the app. And I don't have any slides or any visuals on it, and perhaps in the future we can get to that, but let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, when we had the first salon, it was 6 stations, all hair. That's all I knew. When we opened that second location, it was just by chance that I opened the skincare portion. The person next to me failed to want to go ahead with their lease. And so I just absorbed that square footage. And when I did that, I was like, how hard can this be? It's just, waxing and skincare. But I quickly realized it's just not as intuitive, I think, as hair. When I tell somebody to use a shampoo and conditioner with my own clients, they just know what to do. With skincare, after an hour-long relaxing service, you give them 7 products and you hope that they remember which ones to use on which days, and if it's night or morning, if it's twice a week or every day. So I was having a moment with my estheticians that they were all doing it somewhat a little different. So we made prescription pads for everyone, so everyone can write down notes on what their clients should be doing. But I mean, I have tons of Post-its around my house and tons of notes. It didn't really help me know what to do. So then I tried to download an app and there wasn't such a thing. So I decided, and it's been a 3-year journey, that I made an app that allows estheticians to recommend and prescribe products to their clients. It goes on a push notification basis, so they know exactly Monday morning if that looks different than maybe Tuesday night. There's a chat feature so that they can ask questions in between their appointments if something is happening with their skin. And there's probably like 10 other bells and whistles, but it's been an adventure.
All right, got it. Someone raised their hand or they had something in the chat. I think there might have been a question. So maybe the question can go in the chat. That's exciting, Dani. And the app's called SkinForYou.
SkinForYou, yeah.
And I know how hard you've worked on this, and you've made some significant investments. So congratulations to you. That's awesome. Here we've got Ginger as an esthetician. Hold on here. Let me just see here. Struggle with the same type of challenges with their hair department. How interesting. Okay. All right, so let's. I'm gonna get away from the chat here for a moment so I could be present with you. All right, so Dani, I've got a third subject for you. All right, and it has to do with the time of year. And you know what I love about having the opportunity to connect with this group, all of you out there that spend your precious time on Wednesday, is I get to be super curious and I get to basically be in the moment in terms of things that I see. Yesterday, I was on with you, Dani, and I've had several times where we've been part of Zoom meetings together, and you've always been present, professional, on point, and awesome, you know. But yesterday there was a slightly different quality to your energy, I would say. And there was, I would characterize you as being a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more just chilled out. Okay. And what happened on Monday?
Oh my gosh, those kids went back to school. The best time of year.
So kids went back to, now you have three kids,
Mhm.
three boys, right?
Yep.
What, 19, how old are they again?
19, 10, and almost 7.
Now, there's been times in the background, and certainly I've had these moments with dogs and stuff. I have seen some of these boys in the background at time, and it must have been a little bit hard to get some work done at home, huh?
Oh my gosh. I feel like, yeah, it's when kids go back to school, there's like 7 to 8 hours of just, I can focus, I can pay attention, I can, put my energy back into my business a little bit more instead of just feeling like I'm pulled in all different directions.
You know, and the reason why this really struck me as a sort of secondary observation and a byproduct out of our conversation, but a really important point for the audience, and I'm going somewhere with all of this, is that one of the things that we noticed with our coaching clients is in July and August, it was a little harder for them to do the work, you know, and it was a little harder to get on their calendar. And, so we were on a coach's call yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute now. I mean, this makes a lot of sense that summertime is very difficult to do any other projects, you know, as you're pretty much wearing the hats of not only making good money, but doing what you love with people you love, right? So there's really this collective, I would say, since so many on this call, I think someone already typed in the chat, the reality's changed. And this brings me to something that I've talked about in the past, and it's called the second new year. A great article from a while ago by the Wall Street Journal saying September is the real new year. It's more than just back to school. It's a time to improve routines, career moves, joy. It's a time for change. It's a time to take on a new project, you know, when you've got capacity. And we see a lot of breakthroughs with our clients in September and October because they have this freeing of energy. And so September is a time for planning, budgeting, renewal. There was one British survey, 69% of respondents believe small improvements in September are easier to achieve than New Year's resolutions. So does this resonate with you, Dani?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's exactly like that last slide said. It's almost like a stark difference. Instead of the new year, it feels like you go on Christmas break and you come back to the same. But with sending kids off to school, I mean, it's like rejuvenating. It's so much fun. I had one summer, I tried to teach one kid how to drive, one how to read, and one how to potty train. And I cried every day. And when they went to school, it was like, I had so much more energy.
So I see it as a season, you know, Qnity follows the seasonal approach. Season one, we call fresh start, and that's January through the middle of February. But I really believe that September is a great fresh start month. And thank you for inspiring that idea, you know. The other thing that struck me, Dani, I'm going to skip ahead here. The other thing that struck me, I'm going to share my screen here and with one other thing is the importance of focus on growth. And so let me do this. All right, play. And, you know, so some of the things in our course, this is from our new money course, and we have a whole lesson on drivers and dashboard. And so much of the conversation these days, Dani, is about human capital, finding staff, keeping staff, and, you know, drivers and dashboards brings us back to the basics that we still need to grow the business with what we have today and never lose our focus with that. So I'll talk a little bit more about drivers and dashboards, but how do you think the final 4 months of the year are going to look for you?
I mean, hopefully more growth. I think that, before the summer ended, we definitely do our monthly one-on-ones with all our staff. And we do make sure that if they have any adjustments to their schedule, like working more because of the holiday season or working more or less dependent on childcare situations, it really gets us in a good mindset to like move forward for the next, I guess, 4 months now.
Right. Okay. All right. So let me see what else I had for you. Let's see what else I had for you, Dani. We talked about, I think, most of the things we covered. Back to spa for a moment. You covered the whole idea of mixing up your service menu. I think we covered what I wanted to cover with you today.
Right.
All right, Dani, congratulations to you on your growth, both in spa and retail. And April's giving you a little shout out there. Speaking of shout out, forgive me, people. Here we go. All right. So Dani, what I want to do is award you the official Brain Trust light bulb. Okay, the $1 million light bulb. Thanks for contributing, guys. Let's all give Dani a virtual round of applause here. Dani, will be seeing you and John in about 5.5 weeks in Chicago. Looking forward to it. And someone raised their hand. I've got to figure out how to get a raised hand here. It might be that, let me see if there's any questions here. If you have any questions, I should have been, hey, Robert, good morning. Karen, let me just see here. Candace is relating with the whole second new year. Thanks, Dani. Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Great share. Great share. Great share. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Dani.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
All right. We'll have you back and we'll talk a little bit more about SkinForYou. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Okay. So drivers and dashboards, I've got some more for you guys here, and I'm going to pull some things out of the new money curriculum, which is really financial literacy for students, soon to be available, all or parts of it, for professionals, for example, for members of your team. And so anyway, there's really, I want to address some of the things that we covered with Dani about growth. And I'm going to have a conversation in a little bit here about staffing and human capital, what's going on with suites and all that kind of stuff in a moment. But I do want to keep us anchored in on growth and really driving growth, driving client count and average ticket, and making sure that you're, in spite of volatility and everything going on, is that, you still keep the focus on growth. And I want to segue into something else that I want to plant a big seed on with all of you. All right. And it has to do with perception versus reality. Because a little bit earlier, I talked about these different dots that connected about the September New Year and a freeing of energy and a closure from summer, et cetera, and how that's a great opportunity for some type of professional renaissance in your business or something new and exciting. And the other thing that is just screaming to me in terms of conversations that I've had, like in the last few days, it has to do with this concept of perception versus reality. And perception versus reality, and myths and traps that are out there in the workforce. And there's two specific ones that I want to discuss. And I believe that these are two big ones as it relates to, one of them relates to the entire professional beauty industry. And then the other perception issue relates with employee-based salons. So I'm part of a task force. It's called Unite, and it's uniting all the different beauty associations. And I may have briefly talked about this. We might even have some other members. I don't know if Steve Reese or Sam Bricado or Sheila or someone's on here with us today, but we're actually getting data to really capture from professionals the career, and start to get some measurable things to change the perception about pro beauty, about being a career of choice. Unfortunately, a lot of the figures that's out there about earnings for members of the professional beauty industry is very much skewed. And it doesn't separate the difference between people that are into professional beauty, just pro beauty, just dabbling, maybe working 10 hours a week in their home, versus people that are see pro beauty as a career. That information has never been measured before. And there's a dramatic difference in responses from people that sort of dabble in pro beauty and those that, and there's criteria that was used in the study. We'll share more about it. A certain number of hours per week, whatever. There's a big gap in understanding. People that have made pro beauty as a career do very well financially. And they also rate very high in terms of career choice relative to their peers, relative to their family, career choice as it relates to some of the things that really were about at Qnity, about a career choice in terms of doing what they love. So we ask questions. Do you do what you love, and compare that to others? And overwhelmingly, we see people in pro beauty do what they love. Quality of life compared to others, it's another score that was very high. So there's this whole movement going on, which I think is a very positive movement, to properly communicate to the universe that pro beauty is a career, that is a profession. And it's a profession where you can make a lot of money without working 50 to 60 hours a week and raise a family and all that stuff. So that is one perception issue. And I'm one cog on a big wheel here that's really looking at that, okay? The other perception issue relates with employee-based salons. And I had a conversation with a friend, 2 to 10 member. I think he's going to be my guest, hopefully next week. And he called me and he was just baffled because he was starting to lose staff to going independent. And just really scratching his head, saying that why would they want the grind? We do so much for them. And he talked about the early signals of when people are going to leave. Also talked about the fact that usually if an employee comes to you and says they're going to leave, it's too late because they've already signed a lease. They've already told their friends, their family, their clients, and their coworkers they are gone. All right, it's too late. All right. So how do you catch them before they make that decision? And one of the things we were talking about is that many members of the workforce see things very differently than employee-based salon owners. And I think there's a perception issue. And there's because the voice is so loud from other places, such as Clubhouse and Destroy the Hairdresser and other things like that, there's a very, very loud voice. And one of the things that we were talking about is the information accurate? Are they really getting the true picture in terms of independence and what that means and the true cost of it, the tax cost, the structure, the grind, And we were on a call with our coaches yesterday, and not only were we talking about this second new year in the summer, but we're also talking about this, is that members of the team are leaving. And in many cases, they're leaving because of a perception issue. They can make more money elsewhere. They're going to have more time. They're going to have more freedom, et cetera. I was talking to this salon owner the other day. It says they can basically make their own schedule, make a ton of money. We do everything for them. So anyway, what this has led me to do is I'm going to share with you some things, how we're addressing this in our curriculum. We address the topic of preneurship, and preneurship includes intrapreneur, solopreneur, and entrepreneur. Now, we do in the course is we just matter of fact point out the difference between all three of those. And when it gets to solopreneurship, like we do with intrapreneurship, we go through the pros and cons. And many of the cons, and by the way, I am not against solopreneurship. I'm not against independence. It's a legitimate way to do business. And it's not a problem. The issue is if they're leaving a great job because the grass is greener. I'm kind of on a rant here, everybody. So pardon me, you might want to give me a little chat and you can slow me down here, but I am going somewhere with this. There is a call to action. All right. So solopreneurship can be compared to what we call entrepreneurship. And I personally believe in working with entrepreneurs for 40 years, 14 of them as an advisor to creative entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs, et cetera. I feel that for the vast majority of people, it's a big mistake to be anything other than an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are miserable. I hate to say that, okay? And it takes a special type of person like you and me, because many of you are entrepreneurs, but not everybody's wired for that. So anyway, this whole perception issue about the pros and cons between solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, and perception issues is something I want to tackle. And I'm looking for some volunteers because I see an opportunity to close both of these big perception gaps. And I think we can take a leadership position on this roundtable at 2 to 10 and in all the work we do together. Perceptions can change with facts and education. And, being a solopreneur is full of all sorts of other things that go into it. And there's myth and there's truth. And, one of the myths is I just want to do hair. And many students will think that, all they have to do is learn the craft. And one of the reasons we created this money course for students is we don't believe that. We believe you have to be great at your craft and great with money. And then you're going to earn great money, do what you love and have a great quality of life. So anyway, the I just want a trap is another one that kind of fits in this. And when someone goes solopreneur, they're doing a hell of a lot more than just hair. They're keeping their books, they're paying quarterly taxes, they've got to do marketing, they've got to book their own appointments, et cetera. So anyway, that is what I have to say about that. And what is your money story going to be as a member of this roundtable, as an owner, a manager, whatever role you're in? And I'm going to call out who's on the call in a moment here. But so what I would like to do is next week, I'm going to have a guest that's going to be on, and we're going to hit the perception issue and opportunity head on. And then at the 2 to 10 project, which is coming up in 5.5 weeks, we're going to do some innovation activities and a call to action, almost like a live workshop with members to help address this perception issue visually, simply, and to come out and to be able to make sure that people have the facts before they go off and do something that may not be in their best interests. And that was really the big frustration with this owner I talked to the other day. He cares about these people, and he's like, caring about these people, it's not a good move. They shouldn't do it. And they're going to boomerang back. And so he's coming at it not just from a loss of staff and revenue, but actually caring about the professionals. So anyway, that's what I have for you guys on that. And I have no idea what has been typed in the chat. All right, great. Steve Reese, thank you so much for reaching in. Steve Reese is the champion of this data study. Steve actually, I think, already hung up. I was going to give him a great shout out, which I still can. But we're going to have a call later this week on this type of data. He had to jump off. Okay, gotcha. Volunteer, Carrie. Okay, wonderful. Roman's got data. Roman, jumping in. I love that. Ginger, speaking to me. Marcia, come on. Who else wants to be part of changing the perception? Because I think we can do it, and we're going to do it with numbers. We're going to do it with facts, but it's got to be visual. It's got to be simple. It's got to be compelling. So James is on the call. James Griffith is the person I was speaking with. And James, I want to formally invite you to be my guest next week, because we can really go deeper into this conversation. James didn't know I was going to talk about this today, and he didn't know I was going to reveal who he is, but what the hell, he would have revealed it anyway. So, all right, Victoria, good morning. You're going to be part of this too. So let me just take a quick look here, and I've got one more topic for you guys before we wrap up. We won't need our whole time today. Michelle's in too. That's awesome. But what I want to do right now is I want to see who's on the call. All right, so who do we got? Vanessa, I saw you raise your hand. I love that. Good to have you on here, Vanessa. Thank you. You're volunteering also. 651. So someone from St. Paul's on here. Good morning. Alicia, how are you? And Anna and Andrew and Ann. Good morning, Ann. Candace. Christine, Connie, Dawn, Ginger. Gosh, what a good group. As usual, Heather, James, Jan. Good morning, Jana. Hi, Joe. Jean, we got Jonathan, Karen, Carrie B, Carrie Bennett, that is, Kate from I Love. Hi, Kate. Kelly, Leah, Lena, thanks for your share last week. It was amazing. We're going to have you on in about an hour and a half here. Louisa, good morning to Linnell. I'm thinking about you. Hi, Mark. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Melanie, Melissa, Michelle, Mike. I hope things are okay out in Seattle for you. Good morning, Robert. Always good to see you on here. Hey, Roman, Sam, Sandy, Sheila, Terry, Trent, Vanessa, and Victoria. All right. And some of you, by the way, you should get your hotels for 2 to 10. We'll reach out because we have another hotel that we're going to be working with here. So, all right, what else do we got here? Aaron is going to come on in just a moment here. Mark wants to be part of this too. So, Aaron, I am going to have you jump in and talk a little bit about the second new year, Qnity in action, and I'll advance slides for you.
Perfect. Thank you. All
right. I was going to say, do we get to see you?
I know. I was just thinking, I thought I shared. Well, thank you so much, Tom. And thanks for everyone who's here. I love seeing everyone being here every single week. I'm not always a guest. So I'm really here. You know, we talked a lot about this with our coaching team yesterday and just really the changes that business owners are seeing. And so I did just want to remind everyone, you can work with a coach through our Qnity in Action program. I know many of you on this call are working through our Qnity in Action program, including Louisa, including Michelle. So that's really where you work with a coach every other week, implement the Qnity tools. But a big factor is also just having accountability and really having a guide and someone really to bounce things off to make sure that you're set up for success, because it's lonely at the top. As Tom talked about, entrepreneurship is incredibly hard. So I actually am going to highlight someone, Michelle, who's on this call. She is wonderful, and her results, honestly, you guys, we see these results all the time through our Qnity in Action program. And so this is just one I wanted to highlight today from Michelle Savell, owner of Clementines Salons. And so she really shared with us, oh, Tom, if you could go back, she really shared with us her journey in 2020, which I'm sure is not far off from what everyone was feeling in 2020, just, you know, with the circumstances, but feeling overwhelmed, kind of felt like she was drowning a little bit, struggling to get things done. And not clear of the direction for the future. Michelle, we should have just had you talk on this call instead of me just telling your story. But if you can go to the next one, and really, you know, the point of difference that she shared was she really got a coach. And so she happened to work with one of our amazing coaches, Carrie Perkins. And you can kind of see her results from there. Tom, if you want to advance. So here's her results after, I think it's been about 8 months. Michelle, you can type in the chat because I know you're here. It's been about 8 months since Michelle has been with us. And as a result, she's up 34% in retail sales, 19% in total sales, 91% in client count. She has everyone on the same page. She has greater peace, stronger confidence. And equally as exciting is Michelle's actually joining us to become a coach because she's so passionate and wants to share this system and results to support other business owners. So that's something that's really cool to see. All of our Qnity in Action coaches at present were former Qnity clients, former or existing clients. So here's kind of a side-by-side, and what you're looking at, I gave you some of her results in retail and total sales and client count. Right here is what we refer to her gap analysis score. So every time we take on a Qnity in Action client, the very first session, they rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being lowest, 10 being highest, in these 5 areas: staff engagement, execution, profitability, leadership, and growth. So you can see her ratings in 2020 and how those changed in 2021, really after that 8-month period working with a coach. So the highest being, and I think Michelle, you said really the highlights for you were profitability. Well, really a lot of them were highlights. You can speak to yourself, but profitability and execution and leadership, all of them were big results. All of them were big results. So you'll get this process when you work with a coach. I think Sam's on here. Sam's working with us through Qnity in Action. So I'll pop a link in the chat, but we do have openings. So we would love to work with you. If it's something you're interested in, you can contact me. Actually, you can scan this QR code. That's probably the easiest way. And that'll just take you to get a free session where you can look at your gap analysis and get more details.
Thank you, Aaron. Sorry, my proteins, which I revealed my protein. Several people like these protein shakes. Sorry, Aaron, I get this far into the day. I've got to have my protein. Talk about the trainer certification real quick, and then we'll wrap up in a minute.
So if you've been following us in email, on social, you'll see that we've been putting out more details about our Qnity trainer certification program. And we're really excited about this because obviously we took, I think it's been a year and a half. I can't even remember. Time is such a blur since we've done this live just due to COVID. So we are doing this live. We are taking necessary COVID precautions. I do want to make sure people are aware of that, but this will be in Denver, September 19th through 21st. So coming up next month. And it's really for those who are looking to get certified in Qnity's legacy curriculum, which is our Prosper body of work. So 2-number growth, Q plans, 8 seasons, the Qnity tracking system. So really being able to leave that event being certified to teach this within an existing business. And a couple things I want to highlight here. Number one, who is this program for? It's for anyone. But for those of you on this call, this is an excellent opportunity to invest in high potential employees or employees that you're really looking to provide career advancement. We just pushed out an email because there was a recent study by Prudential that estimated that 1 in 4 individuals were thinking about quitting at any given time. Of those 26% of those individuals, 80% was due to concern over career advancement. So that is a really valid way to say, hey, I want to keep you here, but I want to invest in you as an educator, invest in you as a coach. So that's, if you want any details, they will leave certified. And the thing to highlight here is that certification stays with the business. So if you're investing in a key employee, that certification, they can't just leave with that and be able to teach. We're a small business, we get it. So that certification lies with you, the business owner, and they happen to be that certified participant. So I know some of you on this call are joining us. If you've got questions, we would absolutely love to have you. If you're curious who to send, what will they get? I'll also plop in the chat screen more details there.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yes.
Don't mind me enjoying my protein shake as I'm listening along here. And I am such a believer in coaching. Best investment I ever made actually cost me a fortune at the time, and it was with a coach. And and we have amazing people. And, going into the second new year, going into season, 7 and 8, as we start wrapping up the year, you want to end strong. And sometimes you need that with an accountability partner. And, our coaches, they do push people. They push the Michelles of the world and what have you. So yeah, definitely check it out. Okay. So 2 to 10, I mentioned a little bit about that. Watch your email. We've got some we've got some emails up for right of first refusal. If you wanted to come to 2 to 10 and we mentioned there's no spots left, that might change. We've got a handful of people that are just going to give us an answer later today. Some people have some travel issues with them. So anyway, very excited about 2 to 10 this year and going to tackle perception issues. We do have our emerging leaders group at 2 to 10. So if someone's under the age of 35, they should be part of that group. We will have the school roundtable in a little over an hour. And remember, all progress starts when you tell the truth. Those are my closing thoughts. Guys, I appreciate you joining us today and allowing me to have a short rant, and always good to see you. Okay, so we'll wrap up, and I'm going to take a moment just to read the chat, but thanks. We will be on next week. So we'll see you next Wednesday. No, yes, we are on next week. Okay. There's a week or two there's a week in September we are out. So, okay. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will talk to you very soon.